Hello, everyone, and welcome back to British Accent Podcast. I'm Emily, and today, we're diving into a fun and exciting topic: how to make international friends while practicing English. Whether you're looking to expand your social circle or practice English in real-life conversations, we're going to explore how language can turn into a bridge to connect with people from all over the world.
That's right. Language isn't just about grammar rules or vocabulary, it's about building connections. And what better way to practice English than by making friends from different cultures? In today's episode, we'll discuss some tips on how to approach international friendships while improving your language skills. So, Emily, how do you think language can be a tool for making friends?
Great question, Tom. Honestly, when you start speaking a new language, it can feel like you're opening a door to new opportunities, whether it's traveling, studying abroad, or meeting people from different backgrounds. The thing is, you don't need to wait until you're fluent to start connecting with others. In fact, making friends can really boost your confidence and give you practical experience in speaking English.
I couldn't agree more. And the cool thing is, English is spoken globally, which makes it a great common ground for people to come together. But, as we know, it's not always easy to make friends in a new language, especially when you're not confident yet. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out?
For starters, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Honestly, most people are just happy that you're trying. When you make an effort to speak their language, it opens up a space for them to be supportive and interested in your culture too. And another key tip is to look for communities where people are also learning English. Online platforms, like language exchange websites, or even social media groups, are great places to meet people who understand what it's like to learn a new language.
That's such a good point. And on that note, it's important to approach the situation with the right mindset. Don't just focus on your grammar or vocabulary, focus on connecting with the person in front of you. Think of it as a two-way exchange: they teach you something, you teach them something, and in the process, you both get better at English while forming a real connection.
Exactly, Tom. And another great way to connect with international friends is through shared interests. Whether it's a hobby, like cooking, sports, or even watching TV shows, having something in common can make it easier to start a conversation. When you're talking about something you're passionate about, you'll feel more relaxed, and the language barrier tends to feel less intimidating.
That's a brilliant point. Shared experiences really help break down those initial barriers. I've made some amazing friends just by talking about music, movies, or even gaming. People love discussing things they enjoy, and it's a natural way to practice English without feeling like it's a language lesson. Plus, when you're excited about something, your enthusiasm shines through, and that's contagious.
And don't forget about the power of asking questions. Curiosity goes a long way when you're meeting new people. Asking about their culture, their traditions, or their everyday life not only helps you learn, but also makes the conversation feel more natural. People love talking about themselves, so showing genuine interest in someone else's life can lead to meaningful, long-lasting friendships.
Right. And on top of that, social platforms like Meetup or even language apps like Tandem or HelloTalk are great tools for meeting people from all around the world. You can have conversations with native speakers or fellow learners who are just as eager to practice their English and make new friends. And with these apps, you don't just practice speaking, you also get to learn about different cultures and perspectives.
Exactly. It's all about making language learning fun and interactive. And another thing I've noticed, Tom, is that practicing English in real-life situations, especially with people from different backgrounds, can teach you a lot about the nuances of the language, like slang, idioms, and expressions that you won't find in textbooks. These little details really bring your language skills to life.
That's so true. And the best part is that those friendships aren't just about practicing English, they are about forming real connections. The language becomes secondary to the bond you're building. It's about sharing experiences, exchanging stories, and learning from each other. Plus, these friendships can last a lifetime, and they'll enrich your understanding of the world.
I couldn't have said it better, Tom. So, to recap, if you want to make international friends while practicing English, start by embracing the process. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Seek out communities with shared interests, and always keep an open mind when meeting new people. The more you engage with others, the more confident you'll become in your language skills, and the more meaningful connections you'll create.
And remember, making friends is about quality, not quantity. It's about finding those few people who really resonate with you, and with whom you can continue to practice and grow in your language journey. It's all about building connections, not just conversations.
You're spot on, Tom. And when it comes to building those deeper connections, one of the most rewarding experiences is when you start to learn not just the language, but also the subtle cultural differences that come with it. For example, the way people express themselves, or how humor works in different cultures. It adds layers to your conversations and makes friendships so much richer.
Absolutely, Emily. You can learn so much about someone's culture just through the way they speak and the expressions they use. And it's not just about learning English, it's about being open-minded and embracing the different ways people see the world. Sometimes, you might even find that you share more in common with someone from halfway around the world than you do with people in your own city.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of connecting internationally. The more you explore, the more you realize that we all share some universal human experiences, regardless of where we come from. And while practicing English is obviously important, it's also about creating bonds that are more meaningful than just learning vocabulary or grammar.
I completely agree. And there's another key aspect that helps with international friendships: patience. It's important to recognize that not all friendships will blossom instantly. Sometimes, it takes time for both people to feel comfortable, to understand each other's communication style, and to build trust. But the beauty of it is that the process itself teaches you so much, both about the language and the person you're becoming friends with.
That's a great point, Tom. Patience is essential. And if you're ever feeling discouraged, remember that every conversation, no matter how small or short, is a step forward. The goal isn't to rush the process, but to enjoy the journey. And over time, you'll find that these friendships, these connections, will grow naturally.
And they also help with breaking through those learning plateaus. Sometimes when you're practicing on your own, it can feel like you're not making progress. But when you start chatting with a friend, you notice how much you've learned without even realizing it. You'll be surprised at how much you understand and can express in a casual conversation, even if you don't feel fluent just yet.
That's the beauty of language immersion, Tom. It's not just about the textbook. It's about living the language through your interactions. And with international friends, those opportunities present themselves naturally. Whether it's sharing stories, asking for advice, or just talking about your day, you're actively practicing English without even thinking about it.
It's like a form of organic learning, right? You're absorbing the language as part of your life, not just as a study subject. And it makes the whole process feel so much more natural and enjoyable. Plus, you get to share the experience of learning together, which is pretty special.
Yes, absolutely. And there's something really magical about being able to say, "Hey, I've learned that from a friend," rather than just from a class. It makes the knowledge feel more authentic and practical. And as you continue to build these friendships, you'll notice that you're not just improving your English, you're also becoming a part of a larger, global community.
And that's what's so exciting, Emily. Language truly becomes a tool for connection. It opens doors to people, experiences, and perspectives you might never have encountered otherwise. And at the end of the day, it's about creating relationships that transcend language barriers.
And Tom, as we're talking about building connections, it's worth mentioning how language learning itself can bring people closer together, even in more unexpected ways. For example, you might find that people are very understanding when it comes to mistakes. They know that you're making an effort to speak their language, and they often appreciate it. This creates a sense of camaraderie and respect, which can strengthen the friendship.
That's so true. And it's a great reminder that language isn't about perfection, it's about communication. I've met so many people who were so patient with me when I made mistakes in their language, and that kind of kindness fosters a deeper, more genuine connection. And there's something really powerful about that shared experience of learning together. It creates a bond that might not exist if you were just casually talking without the vulnerability of trying to learn.
I love that you brought up vulnerability, Tom. It's such an important aspect of language learning. When you're vulnerable and open to making mistakes, it shows that you're invested in the connection. It encourages the other person to do the same, and that's when real, meaningful conversations happen. So, it's not just about speaking English perfectly, it's about being open, being real, and being willing to learn.
Exactly. And that vulnerability can lead to some pretty funny, memorable moments as well. You know, when you say something totally wrong, and everyone laughs, but it's in a light-hearted, supportive way. Those moments become the foundation of a friendship. You share a laugh and you move forward together knowing it's all part of the journey.
Absolutely, Tom. And those funny mistakes can sometimes even become inside jokes with your new friends. They remind you that language learning doesn't need to be this serious, high-pressure thing. It's fun, it's playful, and those little hiccups along the way are just part of the experience. The more you embrace it, the more natural it becomes.
That's a really important perspective. And on that note, let's talk about one last thing, staying in touch. It's easy to make friends, but sometimes it's a bit harder to keep those friendships alive when you're practicing a language across different time zones or busy schedules. What tips would you give for keeping the connection going?
Great question, Tom. One thing I've found really helpful is setting regular catch-ups, even if they're short. Maybe it's a 15-minute conversation, once a week, or a quick text exchange every couple of days. Even small, consistent interactions help maintain the connection. And of course, sharing something like a podcast, a news article, or a video you found interesting is a great way to keep the conversation flowing. It keeps the connection alive, and you both get to practice English in the process.
I love that. Keeping it consistent and low pressure is key. And, Emily, it's also important to make sure you're giving back to the friendship. You're not just taking in language, you're contributing too. So, if your friend is learning your language, take the time to help them, share tips, or even just be a sounding board for their questions. That reciprocity makes the friendship stronger.
Exactly, Tom. Language exchange is a two-way street. When you're both actively helping each other out, you're both learning and growing. It makes the friendship feel balanced and mutually rewarding. It's not just about you practicing English, it's about both of you enriching each other's lives and languages.
And that's the beauty of it. Language learning isn't just about mastering a set of rules or vocabulary. It's about creating bonds, learning from one another, and exploring new cultures together. And through all of that, you'll find yourself not just improving your English, but also gaining a network of friends who will be there for you, no matter where they are in the world.
I couldn't agree more, Tom. And as we're discussing how to maintain those friendships, it's also important to keep an open mind about how different cultures approach friendship itself. For example, some cultures might prefer more direct communication, while others might focus on getting to know you through shared experiences first. Understanding these differences can not only help you build a stronger connection, but also avoid misunderstandings along the way.
That's a great point. And sometimes, we might unintentionally misinterpret someone's communication style because we're used to our own cultural norms. But that's the beauty of international friendships. It's a chance to expand your worldview and adapt to different ways of connecting. I've definitely learned a lot about patience, empathy, and respect through my international friendships.
Absolutely, Tom. And another benefit of making international friends while practicing English is the opportunity to learn about different perspectives on things like work, family, education, and even humor. These conversations broaden your understanding and make you more culturally aware, which is such a valuable skill, especially in today's globalized world.
Exactly. And you know, these connections often lead to unexpected opportunities as well. You might get invited to an event abroad, or even have the chance to visit your friend's country one day. I know several people who started with language exchange and ended up traveling to meet their friends in person. It's amazing how learning a language can open up new doors to travel and adventures.
That's such an exciting thought, Tom. Traveling is one of the best ways to experience a culture firsthand, and having friends in different parts of the world makes that journey even more special. It's not just about sightseeing. It's about experiencing life through the eyes of the people who actually live there. It makes the trip so much more authentic.
Absolutely. And the best part is that these friendships don't just remain online. With social media and technology, staying in touch has never been easier. You can send voice messages, video calls, or even just text each other memes and videos that remind you of your conversations. The way technology helps people stay connected is one of the reasons international friendships can thrive, even if there's a distance between you.
Yeah, technology has really transformed the way we connect, Tom. And it's important to leverage that to keep the momentum going in these friendships. A simple, "How's your day going?" message can make someone feel valued, especially if you're from different time zones or schedules. It's those little things that make a big difference in maintaining a bond.
Definitely, Emily. And don't underestimate the power of celebrating each other's successes too. When a friend reaches a language milestone or has a personal achievement, celebrating that moment with them, even from far away, creates a sense of camaraderie. It shows that you're invested in their growth and success, and they'll feel the same way about you.
Exactly, and that's what makes these friendships so fulfilling. It's not just about practicing English. It's about supporting each other through life's ups and downs. And you'll often find that those bonds last much longer than just a language learning phase. You start caring for the person, beyond just their language skills or where they are from.
That's the truth. And when you care for someone like that, language becomes just a small part of the friendship. It's the connection, the shared experiences, and the mutual respect that really matter. The more you practice, the more you'll find that you're speaking the same language, whether that's in words, actions, or emotions.
Well said, Tom. And I think that's why we often say language is more than just a skill. It's a bridge that brings people together. Whether it's through online chats, exchanging ideas, or even traveling to visit one another, it becomes a gateway to real, human connection.
It really does, Emily. And when you think about it, the best friendships are the ones where you're not focused on the language itself but rather on the moments you share together. So, if you're learning English and looking to make international friends, remember that the key is not to stress over being perfect but to embrace the process of learning and connecting with people along the way.
Couldn't have put it better myself, Tom. So, to everyone listening, whether you're just starting your language learning journey, or already practicing with friends from around the world, keep building those bridges. The more you engage, the richer your experience will be. And above all, enjoy the connections you make along the way.
Absolutely, Emily. And one more thing that comes to mind is the importance of learning how to be an active listener in these conversations. When you're connecting with someone from another culture, it's not just about speaking. It's about listening intently to what they are saying, understanding the context, and asking questions that show you're genuinely interested. That's how you really make the most of every conversation.
That's a great point, Tom. Active listening is such a powerful tool, especially when you're practicing English with someone from another country. It helps you pick up on things like pronunciation, idiomatic expressions, and even nonverbal cues. You might hear a phrase that sounds unusual, but is actually commonly used in their culture, and that's something you wouldn't get just from reading textbooks.
Exactly. And speaking of idiomatic expressions, Emily, isn't it funny how every language has its own unique phrases that don't really translate? But learning those expressions, especially when you're speaking with friends, adds a whole new layer to your language skills. Plus, it's a great way to show your international friends that you're trying to understand their culture on a deeper level.
Definitely. And the more you use those expressions, the more natural your conversations will feel. For example, I remember the first time a friend from Australia said, "That's a bit rich." I had no idea what it meant, but when I asked, she explained it as something like, "That's a bit much," or "That's a bold statement." It added a fun, new dimension to our conversations.
I love that. That's the beauty of learning English through conversations with people from different places. You get to learn expressions that textbooks just can't teach you. It makes your language learning much more dynamic. Plus, it's a great way to break out of your comfort zone and start sounding more like a native speaker.
Exactly. And this ties back to the idea of making English learning feel less like a chore. When you're practicing with someone you genuinely enjoy talking to, it stops feeling like a lesson and becomes more like a fun exchange. It becomes more about understanding each other's perspectives and growing as people, rather than just practicing grammar rules or vocabulary.
That's right. And, in a way, language learning also brings out empathy. By trying to understand someone else's language, you're actively putting yourself in their shoes, experiencing their world through their eyes. It's a beautiful way to connect on a much deeper level, not just with the language, but with the person behind it.
That's such a profound way to put it, Tom. It's all about connection, and language is just the tool. The more you open up to others and embrace their culture, the richer your learning experience will be. And through these friendships, you'll find yourself growing not just as an English speaker, but as a person.
And it doesn't stop there. When you form these friendships, you'll notice that you're not only becoming better at English, you're becoming better at understanding people from all walks of life. You'll begin to think differently, act differently, and maybe even approach problems in a more global way. It's incredible how much language learning can shape who you are.
It really is. And I think that's one of the most rewarding things about learning English while making international friends. You're not just improving a skill, you're opening yourself up to a whole new way of thinking and connecting with the world. So, whether it's through language exchange apps, social media, or even in person, just remember that every conversation is an opportunity for growth and deeper connection.
And as you keep connecting, don't forget that every step of the journey counts. Even if you're not perfect, even if you stumble over words, those little moments add up to real progress. Language learning is a process, and the connections you build along the way are just as important as the language itself.
And with that, we've come to the end of today's episode. Tom, this has been such an insightful conversation. Thank you for sharing all of these great tips about how to make international friends while practicing English.
It's been a pleasure, Emily. I've really enjoyed discussing how language learning can bring people together in such meaningful ways. I hope our listeners feel inspired to reach out and start building those global connections.
Definitely. To everyone listening, remember that learning English is not just about improving your speaking skills. It's about creating connections, understanding different cultures, and broadening your horizons. So, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, make mistakes, and enjoy the journey.
Absolutely. And, as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Feel free to share them with us on our social media, and let us know how you've used language to build connections around the world.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the British Accent Podcast. Keep practicing, stay curious, and most importantly, keep connecting. We'll see you in the next one.